good, y'all? This your girl, JayP Films. Hottest camera girl. Stop playing with me. I told y'all once, I told y'all twice, and I don't mind telling y'all 3 times. I'm the hottest, and I only keep the hottest people with me. Okay? So today, I'm all the way in Arizona. You hear me? I'm on the West Coast. I done made my way all the way to Arizona. And you know I had to link up with some of the hottest people in the city. It's only right. So today, I got a whole book author sitting in front of me. Okay, so y'all check us out today. So, how you doing? What's your name? Where you from?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm Marquez Price with Teach One Publishing here in Tucson, Arizona.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. What a pleasure to be here, bro.
Likewise, it's beautiful to have you as well.
For sure. So, let's jump straight into the interview. Tell me about you first. Let everybody know about the person you are.
Well, my original identity, I would say, as a hooper, as a basketball. I came up as a shorty having hoop dreams and prodigy, and, went on with that. I thought I was going to be playing for Georgetown and the New York Knicks after, but, dreams deferred. Still got the love for the game. I still hoop, but along the way, I had a teacher tell me in junior high that I had a ability to really put, words on paper, and that I should consider a future in writing. So at that time, like I said, I wasn't trying to hear it. I was trying to go to DC and New York to hoop, but it stayed with me. So later on, the same thing when I was finishing up hooping, I went to the JUCO route, and then I went to University of Arizona here to finish up my scholarship. I wasn't playing ball, but I was in school. And I had a teacher tell me the same thing, echo the same sentiment, like you need to go into writing. And I still wasn't trying to hear it. I'm just trying to think of graduating and getting to a job or whatever. So my first job, I get straight out of college, I got fired, like in the probational, period or whatever. And so I wrote like a scathing letter to the CEO. I was like, I was wrongfully terminated, whatever. So a dude brought me in, sat me down. He said, look, I can't give you your job back, but have you ever considered a future in writing? Again, I wasn't trying to hear it. So that was 3 times. So I was always writing since that teacher in junior high. So later on, I had scrolls of writing. I had stackpiled, notebooks galore, and came to, probably mid 2020. So like 2010 or whatever. I met a homeboy. His name's Mike Luke, and he was doing an article on my pops and his best friend, a basketball article. And I don't know why, but I told him that I did a little bit of writing too. And he's a great writer. And he looked at my stuff and he said, you could be a bestseller. And I was like, nah, he's gassing me. I don't really think, whatever. But we became fast friends. He stayed on me. I shared another document with him, and he said, I'm gonna keep on you until you really pursue this. So he would call me like Saturday morning, like 5 in the morning, like, send this document to the New York Times. Like, send this, do that. And I'm like, all right, man, I would do it, to no avail. Nothing would really happen. So I stayed with it. Then I met another friend named Tanya, and she did the same thing. I shared some stuff with her. And at the time, I was just, I was a Facebook warrior. I wasn't on any other social media platform. And she said, you need to get on Instagram and you need to publish. I said, I don't know how to publish. So fast forward 2020, everybody's quarantined. I started researching feverishly how to self-publish. And I created my first book. I jumped out 2021. Within 48 hours, I became a bestseller, and I ain't looked back since.
Dang. That's crazy. So you said that you became a bestseller?
The first one.
What?
Off the rip, out the gate. Yeah.
So tell me about that. Like,
it was scary, because, and since then, since 2021, I've published 5 books, and all of them have been bestsellers. But I thought it was a fluke the first time. So 3 months later, because I had, notebooks and notebooks on deck. 3 months later, I published another book. I was like, I'm gonna see if this is like something that just happened as a fluke, right? That went bestseller too. So I said, bet, I got this. So from there, I started getting a lot of people asking me, hey, how do I publish? So I didn't really know. I was helping people for free, but I didn't realize I didn't have the bandwidth to really help everybody publish, and then to continue to do what I needed to do, because I had like 10 books in my head I already wanted to write.
Right.
So I got an LLC. I created a logo, And I put my brand as Teach One Publishing, and I said that's going to be my publishing house to publish my books and then to help others publish their books.
Dang, bro, you are amazing. What the heck?
Thank you.
So you went from a best-selling author to owning a whole publishing company?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Dang, I didn't even know that before I came here.
Yeah. Well, that's good, though.
What the heck?
Good. Yeah. So I just been shaking and moving with that.
Wow.
So I started doing a lot of coaching and consultation, but again, I didn't have the bandwidth. It was just me.
Right.
So I want to say about a year ago, I started thinking of completing a course book with all of my research and everything. So I put together a course book and I call it Entrepreneurship 101.
Wow.
So that's for anybody who wants to self-publish and figure out different avenues to create streams of financial gain. And I pretty much give the blueprint of everything I did. I share everything. I offer it. It's $500 online through Thinkific, and I just released it last week.
Wow. So that's like a paper book or like one of the ones online?
It's online. Yeah, okay. It's a course one that you got to go through and you complete it. And yeah.
Oh, it's like a course.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dang, that's even better.
Yeah. And it's simplified. It's page by page guide. It breaks down everything.
For sure. And you can't be 500 because you'll make, who knows, God knows.
There you go. You publish your first book, you put it as $10, you sell 50 of them, there's your 500 return of investment right there.
Right. So speaking of numbers, like, what's that moment? How much was it? How many books was it when you sold and you was amazed, like, dang, like I did this?
After I became a bestseller, like I didn't know how many books you had to sell to be that or whatever. So just one day I was going through my data and the numbers and looking, and I had sold something like 3,500 copies, probably like in a week.
What? No way.
Yeah. So, I was freaked out by that, because I was like, I know a lot of people, but when I came out, nobody knew I was a writer. Everybody remembered me as dude who used to hoop and, good dude around the way, whatever. But, and I always had like publicity. I was in the newspaper, I did things, but they saw me as that. So when I jumped out and said, yeah, I'm an author now, it threw everybody off. But just off the strength of the love, I had people buying like 10 copies,
dang,
and just giving them out. But before that, I kind of went viral. I had a little thumb rat on Facebook, after the George Floyd thing. And a local photographer, Catherine Dreyer, she hit me up and was like, hey, I'm doing this project, whatever. I seen your post. Can you convert it to an essay? I said, yeah, bet I can do that. So she took my picture, had my Blackfish shirt that my homeboy Cash Lansky's daughter had drawn up. Cash Lansky is he's like the king here in Tucson, Arizona, the big rap dog, so his daughter is an artist, talented. She drew up a picture of a Blackfish, and I wore the shirt, took the picture. I submitted the essay, and I want to say that 2 or 3 days later, the photographer hit me up and said, hey, 8,000 people shared this post. So many hundreds liked it, did this, that, and the third. So from there, I had like a built-in audience. So when I jumped out with my first book, all the people were inquiring like, yo, where are his works? Where does he publish anything? So when I came out, that's how I went bestseller. There's so many people that was anticipating my debut book.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So let's go back. You said that you always was writing, right?
Yeah.
When you was young, junior high school?
Mm-hmm.
So what was you writing?
Man, I might, I might write a little poem to a girl or something. I was influenced. One of my favorite rappers, probably my favorite rapper, is Nas. And I would listen to Nas all the time, and I caught how his attention to detail was different from other rappers. So he would create these scenes. So I would listen to him, and then I would just write little stories about what was going on in my life, about me and my boys or whatever. And so I didn't really show nobody whatever. And I would just write. And then, in class, whatever, I'd write essays. And so my freshman year, the last day of school, my teacher, Mr. Goldsmith, he's one of my favorite teachers ever, I was walking out of class. He said, Marquez, come back to my desk real quick before you leave. So I went back there, and he said, this book is called Native Son. It's by Richard Wright, famous black author from like the Renaissance. And the novel Native Son, it's a classic book, so he gave it to me. And I said, okay, Mr. G, bet, so I read it that summer. But as I got to the end of the book, I realized that he was telling me, like, this is a man, an African-American man, a black man, look just like you. You have the ability to do that. So that was one of the seeds that was kind of planted where it started.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang, so were you big on reading too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was big on reading. I was the type of kid, though, I didn't like to read what the subject was in class. I like to read what I want to read. And just for fun, I just used to read. I remember I met this kid, Travis Anspaugh, this kid in my class, and he was so smart. And I was like, yo, Travis, man, what you be talking about? Yeah, in 100 years, the polar cap's going to melt and it's going to tilt the earth and it's going to be winds of 200 miles. Yeah, so I was like, Dad, I was like, where do you get that from? He's like, I just read encyclopedias all day. So me, I've always had the humility and the competitive fire to be like, damn, I want to be able to do that, but I got to do what he does. So I ordered some, with my little allowance money I saved up, I ordered some encyclopedias. So during the summer, I would read. I'd read all the time. And then my sophomore year, another teacher gave me the autobiography of Malcolm X at the end of the year. So I read that summer. And at the beginning of the book, not beginning, but I want to say, in the first chapters, Malcolm X talks about he was illiterate when he went to college. So in order to build up his vocabulary, he wrote down every book in the dictionary from aardvark, which is an anteater. That's the first word in the dictionary. He wrote it all the way to Z on a tablet. And so he built up his vocabulary. So if you ever seen any videos of Malcolm X, he was like one of the most insanely talented orators you ever seen, but it came from that work. So I did that. So I would, and this is documented. This is people I worked with, people from school, even the homies I played basketball with. I would write down 5 words a week, and I just carry them in my pocket. So during downtime, I just pull it out and I, look at them, whatever. So I started using words like discombobulated at 15. And they'd be like, bro, what are you talking about? I'd be like, I'm working on these words and I'm reading whatever. So I didn't know, but that was like my gladiator school to become what I am now.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What really inspired you to write books? Is it just one thing, like one moment?
That's a good question. What inspires me to write books? It's something about telling a story. It goes back to, being a hip hop baby and listening. I discovered right away that you didn't have to physically travel when you listen to music. So if I was listening to Nas, I could go to New York. If I was listening to the Hot Boys, I could go to New Orleans. If I was listening to Jay Dilla, I could go to Detroit. So that's what I wanted to do. That's what inspired me to really jump off and go into that path.
That's crazy. I never heard that said like that. But it's true, huh?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. You gotta, that's how you start to travel, and then you can get on the plane and go to other planes, so to speak.
Facts.
Yeah.
The biggest challenges you faced when writing books?
The biggest challenge with writing books is like anything that's a challenge for me. It's just me versus me. The ability is there, the focus is there, the commitment, the drive, the desire. But it's just creating that space of solitude where you lock in, and nothing at that moment can really matter. Like my most recent book entitled The Backcourt, it's about 2 basketball prodigies that took like dichotomous paths, but they remain rooted in their bond. And it's got a lot of social commentary in it and everything. So this book was in me my entire life because it's about my father and his best friend. And I watched him as a shorty coming up. And, that's where my hoop dream started. So from there, when I really sat down to write the book, I was staying up till like the wee hours of the morning. I would start at like 10 at night and I would just grind it out. It was just spilling out of me. And so at that point, that's all it's about. It's just about putting that laser focus down. Nothing else matters. You got a job to do. Not even a job. This is like my purpose, I feel. So It's just getting in front of yourself and through yourself, because nothing else is really going to distract if you don't let it. It's just you. It's you versus you all the time.
That's a great answer.
Thank you.
Many people want to write a book but don't know where to start. So what would be the first step?
The first step to writing a book is to simply grab a notebook and start writing down your ideas. That's the simplest approach. From there, you take those ideas and you create a manuscript. Then you can find an editor, and everything is Googleable. You know, there's YouTube University. There are people like myself who you could consider, people said, oh, he's a guru, or he's a, you know, expertise in that area. Find someone like myself, Teach One Publishing, and give them the manuscript. I have the resources to find editors, to find graphic artists, to do covers. From there, once the manuscript is edited, you can, if you want to go through Amazon, that's the biggest book distribution platform in the world.
Right.
And it's pretty much a guide that you go through. You'll submit your guide, you walk through, and you publish. You
published on that before?
Yep, that was my first book, was on Amazon.
Wow. So tell me about Amazon publishing versus Teach One publishing.
Amazon publishing versus Teach One publishing. Like I said, Amazon is the biggest book distribution platform in the world. So they do the shipping, packaging, and you have the platform for the exposure, but you have to market, promote, and all those things. Where Teach One publishing differs from that is I take you through each step to create that book, and then guide you through the steps of publishing on Amazon or Ingram Spark, where you have places like Barnes & Noble and all the bookstores across the country. Or I can show you how to do it independently, where you can skip Amazon and just go straight from writer to reader, seller to consumer. And now, you know, after, you know, I had a couple bestsellers, I figured out, well, I created my own publishing company. I've built up my audience. And I can say, hey, I've got the bestseller tag a few times. I can go straight to my audience now. You know, so like the Backcourt, I released it on Amazon, but I sell it primarily from myself. So I'll ship it to people, I'll deliver it if it's local, and I keep the profit, because, you know, Amazon will take probably, like, you know, I want to say 60% of royalties. Wow. Because they do all the legwork. The shipping, packaging, but me, I do everything in-house, so I'm not afraid to do all that work. I'll ship it, I'll, you know, package it, whatever. One plug that's good if you want to do just straight independent is a company called 48 Hour Books. I believe they're from out of Texas. So you have your manuscript, your cover, interior file, which is the manuscript edited, exterior file, which is the cover. You have all those things, you send it to them, and say, hey, I want 100 copies. They'll print everything up, ship it to you within 48 hours. You got 100 books. You hit the streets like yourself, pack them up, go door-to-door service. You can charge $10, you can charge $100. My third book, I didn't release it on Amazon. It's called The Algorithm of a Culture. So it was like more of a radical piece where I'm talking about our culture and how algorithms, we create more of what we see. Yeah, so The Algorithm of a Culture was solely independent. I wrote it, edited it, shipped it, distributed it, marketed it, promoted it. And I did an exclusive thing where I charged $100 for an exclusive 100 copies. So each copy was $100. I sold them all within 30 days. And I got that idea from Nipsey Hussle, because he did that with Crenshaw, his mixtape. Where he sold, I want to believe 1,000 for like 100 or something like that. But I got that from him, and he got it from a book called Contagion, where it's about the science of going viral. So it's those type of things that behind the scenes, I'm still encyclopedic as far as my research and knowledge.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you follow a strict writing schedule, or do you write, you know, inspires you?
I don't follow a strict regimen as far as writing. I think I saw something where Miles Davis, the great trumpeter, said that he always hears music in his head. You know, so it's like torturous, but at the same time, you know, it's his gift. And I identify with that because I can have a conversation with somebody and get inspired. And I'm like, look, hold on, I gotta go. You know, before we sat down, I told my lady, Fiona, I said, we were sitting on the couch and I was like, I gotta go write something real quick. Because something just came to me. So that creativity and inspiration comes to me. It don't matter what time. So when it comes, I go. And if I can't, I scribble it down and get back to it later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shoot. Oh, that's some good advice.
Yeah.
So how do you get over writer's block?
Writer's block. I don't have the answer for that one because I've had other writers ask me that. And, you know, I tried to fill the air with some words, whatever, but it wasn't really, it was some fluff, you know. So my approach to writer's block is to surrender. And because there have been times where I didn't write for months, you know, because it wasn't coming out. But then once that tenure ends, it's months that I can't stop writing.
Dang.
So I feel like right now, you know, like you say as hoopers, I done got into the zone. Like now it's something in the universe, whatever, where I can just pick and call, and I can write at all times. And I might have short stumps of writer's block, and I just surrender at that moment. I say, okay, I'll come back to this, you know. So that's really how I get through writer's block, if it makes sense, is just to surrender.
Sure, that's a great answer.
And know that it's gonna come back.
Right.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for someone debating between self-publishing and traditional publishing?
I would always say to go the self-publishing route right away because you're going to learn everything. It's analogous to a rapper, right? The independent, they got everything. They get out there, they do their thing, a la Master P, and then they come to the table to a traditional publisher or a music, you know, label, whatever, and they might offer you something and you say, nah, my value is greater than that. I'll stay on the independent. I've had some success, whatever. The main difference is what I like about being independent, I can drop whenever I want. I just dropped the Backcourt in January. I could drop another novel this month. With traditional publishing, you might come with your manuscript and they say, oh, this is good. We're going to look at 2028. Oh. And I'm like, bro, it's 2025. I'm ready to get it out the oven. Nah. So I like the wiggle room, you know. And as far as like content, you know, they might say, hey, you kind of went left on that one. It's a little out there. We don't want to put that out. When you're independent, you put out what you want to put out. Right. You know, so that's where it's really about what you want to do. It's like, for me, it's like having a gig, a job, and, you know, being an entrepreneur. Okay. Be fed or kill. What you kill, you eat, you know.
What are some mistakes that new authors make?
Some mistakes. They're not thorough in their manuscript and putting together their interior part of the book, or they might try to rush through it. Something simple as, okay, I've completed my book, I'm about to publish it, but you haven't checked to see the numbers on the pages. You got to have numbers on the page or a table of contents. The right format of a book. So going at it alone and being hasty with it, too fast to get it out, that's where someone like myself comes in and say, hey, I can go through this and check it. You missed the pages here. You should have edited this word or that paragraph. So a lot of authors, when they self-publish, they feel like, oh, okay, I know what I need to do to publish, but you really have to have a step-by-step guide to have everything. And that's going back to the difference of a traditional publisher. They're going to take care of all that for you. So you got to either have a team or have a bunch of, you know, creative freelancers around you who you can have to do different tasks and complete it.
And I'm sure that costs.
It does. It does. If you, it just depends on what you need done. Like the most expensive thing when publishing a book is editing. My first book was 100 pages, and I sent it to a guy in New York. And he's big time. He's an author. He, you know, edits everything. So 100 pages, he went through it, and I think he found like 4 or 5 errors, like minor, like misspellings or grammatical or whatever. $800.
Dang.
So that's why I was like, ooh, we gotta backtrack here. So where I figured it out, I started going to the university, and I just put out on a bulletin board, hey, I'm looking for editors, professors, student aides that, hey, I can throw something more on the low. I'm working with this type of budget, and they'll do it. A lot of them, they'll do it for free. You know, so I still throw them a little something, whatever. And then they showed me what to look for, and I became my own editor. So that saves the cost. Wow. And then me personally, like I can edit my own stuff, and then I have my lady, you know, she's attention to detail. She's Virgo, so she gonna go through everything. So she does a lot of stuff for me in that regard too.
Dang. So what does your team really consist of? How many people? And what do they do?
My team consists of everybody really. And when I say everybody, because when I started out, I said I need a team. I need a team. Everybody say you need a team, and you do. But for me, I'm in a space in Tucson, Arizona. We have so many fantastic artists, creatives, you know. So just being around in that community, I just sat back and was like, okay, you know, she's a phenomenal painter. That's, if I have an idea for a cover, I'm gonna go to her. He, you know, is a prolific writer like myself. So I'll go to him, you know, if I want to do something with an excerpt of a book or whatever. Marketing and promoting, I muscle that myself. I'm on every social media platform. Every morning I wake up, I start with that. I have my stuff planned in my calendar. Wow. Content, I know several videographers that are talented. Hey man, I got this idea, like I think you'd be good for this piece. And then, so I don't get tethered to just one person, I go over here, hey, I'm looking for this. I think you could bring this out, you know. And then, like I said, I got other amazing people like the guy I was telling you about. He goes by Swindo, and his name is Reggie. He goes by Swindo, and he created a screen print machine. He invented one. It's so different from anything that's ever been seen. He's patenting it right now and everything. So for him, I go to him for merch. He did this shirt, whatever. So we had a conversation yesterday, and he's like, yo, I told him before I need to get one of those, you know, fractals machines. And so I said, you know what? I've been lagging on that. I'm gonna get one. Bet. So I'm gonna start doing my own shirts, my own merch or whatever. So it's just people around. That's my team. It's the gifted people around me that I will go to, I'll collaborate with, I'll learn, and then I'll take it and go with it. And however I can service them and help them, that's how we roll. So, and then there's like a few people, like basically my team is, you know, the Most High, me, my lady is got my back to the fullest. So between those things, like there's a team.
Dang. That's what's up.
Films, I told you I'm the hottest, y'all. Right there. Girl talk,
JayP Fam is the hottest camera girl.
Do you recommend hiring an editor, or can writers self-edit efficiently?
Yes, you can hire one, but to budget, you can self-edit efficiently. I have a fellow author friend of mine. He is meticulous. He pays extreme attention to detail. So whenever he's put out a book, I think he's put out 3 poetry books, and he would just read them over and over and over. And
wow.
I have his books, ain't no mistakes in them. But it takes a lot of discipline and, you know, concentration to really do that. If you're not comfortable with that, and he went to college for writing, he creative writing, whatever, so he'd been through the ranks for it. But anybody else, you know, if you don't really have a background in writing and you just getting your stuff out there, go to an editor. A lot of them, like I learned the hard way, are very expensive, but that's part of my Teach One publishing services. I provide feasible editing. So I'll take so like what the editor did for me with the $800 for a 100-page book, I'll do that with same 100 pages of a book for like 100. So I learned when it's more feasible, I'm gonna get 8 people quick, and that's gonna make that 800 that one guy would have charged me for one book. So it's just things like that, paying attention and pivoting, adjusting.
Sure.
And outsourcing your competition.
Dang. Speaking of competition, is there competition around here?
No. And I don't say that in a disrespectful manner, because the only competition I ever look at is the person in the mirror.
Yes.
I'd be foolish and egotistical maniac to say, yeah, I'm competing with, but everybody's got their own thing. On the low, I get inspired. I see someone, I'm like, damn, that was a move right there.
Yeah.
Like I told you, when I saw you, I said, man, she's mobile, she's doing all it. Like, I need to be more. I'm off top. I thought I need to think of a mobile library.
Come on.
So I get in my car. I have obviously my books and other books, and I just roll around. I pull up to wherever, and hey, I got something that you need to read. Literacy in America is low. We need to get it up. Here, I'm an author. Here's my card. Like,
sure.
So it's just learning from your surroundings. So I just met you. I'm learning from you. So competition is the person in the mirror. That's another reference from my homeboy Cash Lansky.
How important is it to market, and what's your strategies that you use for it?
Marketing is everything. I've seen people publish a book and leave it there and nobody know. Like, they'll release it, hey, I published a book, and it'd be hundreds of people. Yeah, because they're going to clap. But then they just leave it there. So, man, that's disrespect to yourself, your craft, what you just created. My strategy for social media is just guerrilla warfare tactic, like constant. I want to be everywhere, ubiquitous, to where you wake up and you driving down the street, you see me on a billboard, or you put on Facebook, you see a post, Instagram, you see a reel. So how I engineer that, I create content all the time. I grab up different videographers, or I'll just be in my own creative space.
Yeah.
And I'll just go. And every morning, like I said, when I wake up, I'll do a lot of content. And then at night, I will write captions. So I got like 50 captions in the clip ready to go. And then at any time when I wake up, I say, okay, today I'm going to talk about this free campaign where I'm going to give out 10 free books and shirts. The next day I wake up, I'll be like, all right, I'm reminding y'all the back court is available directly through me. $20, I'll come to you, I'll ship it. The next one might be the trailer for the book. Then the next day might be entrepreneurship 101. So I always got something to post. And I don't go away from it. Like, I'll never turn off my social media. It don't mean I'll be sitting there watching it every day, but it's there ready.
Yeah.
So, and it's another thing I got from my lady. She has hundreds and thousands of pictures and videos in her phone. She's one of the people that loves to observe and kind of like categorize and store life, because she's a mother. So she has, she's used to capturing moments.
Yeah.
So from her, I learned, man, always be ready to capture something. It might just be some video of a bird flying in the air. And the next morning I wake up and be like, oh man, I'm going to run off this pensive quote and be showing the bird in the air. Yeah. That's content. It's easy. You ain't got to have $1 million budget all the time. So.
Dang, that's inspiring, man. That's why that's why you're so successful, though.
Yeah, I'm trying.
You put in that work.
Yeah, it's the work. And that goes back to coming up as a basketball player. Like, it's competitive. I wanted to be the best. So that's a transferable skill. So I still play ball, but it's not to get to the NBA no more. So now all of that drive goes into my craft of writing.
Wow. Well said. What are some ways an author can monetize their book beyond book sales?
Beyond book sales, you can reach out to your local schools, elementary, high school, and you can get contracts for speaking engagements. So if you have a children's book, you go to an elementary, it fits their lesson. Now you're doing a workshop for kids on how to write a children's book. Then you can level up, drop a proposal for universities and say, hey, I'm a published author. I've done this, that, and the third. I'd like to come and speak to your school. They pay upwards of $3, $4, $5, $10,000 just for you to do that.
Wow.
Markets, I just did the Tucson Festival of Books. That's like one of the biggest book festivals in the world. And so I have all my books. I got my booth. The traffic is crazy with people just there, thousands of people selling books. And while I'm selling books, I'm networking because you got other publishers, you got other authors. So collaborations, book deals, it's all kind of stuff. Let me see, something simple, what you call a low content book. That's a notebook, right? So if you know a friend that's an artist and they're great, with their drawings, you can say, hey, can you draw a picture of my son? Yeah, I got you. Draw the picture, you take that picture, you put it as your cover as the notebook. Then you go to Amazon, low content books. They'll give you an option to make like college rule 3-ring notebooks, all of that. You put that cover on there, publish that. That's passive income. Then you jump on social media and you say, hey, all of the parents, especially during like peak times, like summertime. So July, kids going back to school in August, jump on social media and say, hey, parents out there with kids, whatever, I got this notebook of my son. It's just a depiction of his image on the notebook, and his paper in there for kids 4 to 8 learning to write. This notebook will help them practice after school. That notebook will sell off the shelves because you got a lot of parents who have kids who are like, my kid needs to work on their writing. Right. Then that kid gets the notebook. Wow, this kid is my age. They'll get inspired to do something. Then you can create a notebook. So it's just a domino effect. So those are just a couple ways you can make, money on books.
I have a friend who's been telling me like she wanted to write a book for so long, since probably high school. Then, we graduate. She starts working on this book for real. And, it's been 10 years. And she got the book finally, like, the cover page, all the pages drawn up and written, but she haven't published it yet. It's just sitting as a digital right now. What advice would you give to that person?
Tell her to holler at me. That entrepreneurship 101. It'll give her everything because I was that same person. I was sitting on books for 10 years. I did not know how to publish. So when I went through and got the information, talked to different people, went to a conference of authors, they started giving me game information. I put it in there. So that's why I created this course book for people like your friend. So it's as simple as that. That's all I can say. www.mpricebooks.com. The course book is on there. Click it. You'll be good to go.
Dope.
I guarantee she'll be able to publish it.
Come on.
Yeah. And then if she needs help with more graphic design for, sharper images, editing, all in-house, all that stuff is free after the publishing of the book.
Wow. So you really help people get their book out?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Once you purchase the course book, that's when I go the extra mile and I say, okay, sign up for this here. Here's access to this conference. This person does this person does that. Call up your local media publications, introduce yourself. Somewhere like Barnes & Noble. People don't understand. They think that stuff is so far away from you. Like, oh man, I go to Barnes & Noble, but they ain't gonna put my book in there. I mean, I mobbed right up in the Barnes & Noble. I said, I'm local author here. I am a bestseller on Amazon. How do I get my books here? Oh yeah, you fill out this thing, blah, 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 blah. Next thing you know, I had a book sign in there. I never knew I could do that. So when then people came to me like, yo, how you get into Barnes & Noble? I walked in there and introduced myself. You know, so it's that simple. So a lot of stuff also is just initiative, you know, and believing in yourself. I know a friend of mine who's talented at what they do, but they always say, oh, I'm not that good. I'm not that good. Every time I cut them off, I'm like, I ain't trying to hear that. You can say that to yourself, but I'm not going to say it to you. Yeah. So once you get over that hurdle, you'll be able to do whatever you want. For example, I'm going into Barnes & Noble. I'm about to introduce myself, and I'm going to be sitting there. And then I call my videographer. Hey, one of my videographer friends, not my videographer, like they work for me, but one of my videographer friends is like, hey, man, can you come down between noon and 1 and 3 at Barnes & Noble, April 28, 2024. Bet. They come there, they see me signing books, shaking hands, everything. Then I take that content, I put it on social media. Then I take that content and I send it to bookstores across the country. I did that one time with black bookstores across the country. And then I just jumped in the whip and just visited a couple on the West Coast. Like I went to Grassroots, black-owned bookstore in Phoenix, Arizona. I went to Analog Dope Store, owned by 2 black women in Las Vegas, Nevada, and pulled up the same way. Showed them my little content. Hey, you know, they carry my books.
Dang.
So it's that initiative and grind to do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. These are the final questions.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's one thing you wish you knew before writing your first book?
One thing I wish I knew before I wrote my first book is that I could have combined my first book and my second book for like a compilation of poems, because the first 2 were poetry books, and they served as like appetizers for me to test the waters. Like, let me see if they really gonna be feeling my writing. So they ate them up, you know. But that's one thing I wish I'd have done as far as just putting those 2 together, and that would have been my first book. That's the only regret I have with my first book. And knowing the whole thing with the editing, because I could have saved at least $700, but he did a good job. And, you know, his name is Sean Singer. You can Google him. He's big time, and he did me a solid on that. So yeah.
Okay. So why do you say that you would have put them 2 together? Why?
Because I came out fast, you know, because, you know, like I said, when I went bestseller 48 Hours, my first book, I was like, man, is this a fluke? Like, maybe it's just because it's my first time. So I was like, I'm going to put this one out quick, fast. And I did it, and it went. So I was like, okay. But originally, it was supposed to be 1 book.
Right.
And the first book was My Trainers on Schedule. The second book was From the Observer to the Observed. But it was supposed to be together, but I split it up.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Totally understand. I do that with my interviews sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be like, man, I should have just put them part 1 and part 2 together.
Yeah, and, you know, hindsight is 20/20. You never know till you're looking through the rear view a lot of times. And then you just learn the lesson. You take it.
What advice do you have for people who are afraid to put their work out there?
I'll keep this one short and simple. Okay. People who are afraid to put their work out there, get a piece of paper and write down 10 affirmations like, I am worthy, I am good enough, I am confident to produce these works. And then every morning when you wake up, you brush your teeth, read them out loud. You'd be surprised what 30 days, 21 days it takes to form a habit. You do that 21 days, I guarantee you'd be more confident to do that.
Heck yeah. If someone listening has been procrastinating on writing their book, what was the message to them?
Be easy on yourself, gentle with yourself with procrastination, because everyone arrives at different points in their life. Some people might get out there at 21 years old and become a writer, but they might not become a bestseller until they're 40. And then somebody like myself might not write all this stuff that they have and they publish it in 38 and then become bestseller right away. So just trust the process. Anything in life, like, you know, people get married at different times. Some people don't get married. Some people have kids. Some people start early. Some people start later. Like, some people find a groove as far as a purpose in the middle of their life, you know. So with procrastination, learn to be a friend to it, you know. Now, don't let it be too close of a friend.
Yeah.
To where you just procrastinate your whole life away, but be gentle with yourself with it. Be a friend with it, communicate with it, and learn from, you know, what it can offer you, you know, because it goes back to the writer's block. Writer's block isn't always a block. It's an opportunity to surrender, regroup, and shake back, as you said. So it's the same thing with procrastination. Like, it's just an opportunity to take a pit stop and don't stay there. It's just like something like depression. We all go through depression. It's what they call it, the common cold of you know, mental struggle. But depression is deep rest. So it's telling you to rest. Just don't stay there. You know, so it's the same thing.
For sure.
Yeah.
So how many books you have out?
I have 5. 5 books.
Where can we find them?
Amazon, worldwide available, Barnes & Noble, online, and preferably directly through me, www.mpricebooks.com.
Gotcha. And just asking, what's your favorite book?
Ooh, my favorite book is 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez.
Come on. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
about to check that one out.
Yeah, his last name is my first name. His picture is actually up on there with all my inspiration.
Okay.
Yeah, the one with the little birds around his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I figured that was him when you said 100 years.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's a Pulitzer Prize book, and it's about a family over a course of 100 years. And I come from a huge family. My dad has comes from a family of 10 siblings.
Dang.
So I got cousins all over the place. So when I started reading that book, I was like, man, like, this is my family. You know, so it's beautifully written. That's the only book, I'll say this, I've read so many books. That's the only book I read where I was like, damn, can I do this? Because it was so good. It's the only time I felt inferior or insecure about writing, because that was like a masterpiece.
Wow.
You know, and it's not like you pick the book up and it's got all these fancy words. It's got fancy words, vocabulary, but it flows so just flawlessly. And, you know, it's probably about 400 pages or something like that. Matter of fact, I need to get it back from my pops. I let him borrow it and he still ain't getting it back. So, but yeah, 100 Years of Solitude, that's my favorite book ever.
All right, and before I go, can I get your number 2 and number 3 favorite book?
My number 2, number 3, The Old Man and the Sea is number 2 by Ernest Hemingway. And then anything written by James Baldwin, Ta-Nehisi Coates. I like George Orwell, Animal Farm. I like that book. Yeah, I can go for days, all genres, but yeah.
How many books you read in your whole life?
A lot. A lot. Yeah. And I'm going to keep reading them forever.
For sure. So what does reading books do for you?
Oh, man. It allows you to travel. As I said earlier, it helps you build your vocabulary. Another practice that I've been doing forever, if I'm reading and I come across a word that I don't know, I underline it or highlight it, and I put it on a list, and I'll go back and I'll look that word up. It gives you experience when you read. Also, it's important as a writer. You must read all the time, because subconsciously it's honing your craft, because you're seeing how paragraphs are edited, you know, structure, flow, you know, figurative language. So just reading is everything. But, you know, now with the shorter attention span, with, you know, social media, we're tethered to devices. A lot of people don't. You have people that read, but it's a lot of the elders and probably middle age. But that's another, mission of mine is to get, reading cool for the youth. Like, cause like I said, the literacy levels are low.
Sure.
Books is everything. Like if you ever seen a movie, there's always a book to it, and the book is always better than the movie.
It's crazy. So how do you feel about audiobooks?
I love audiobooks. Yeah, because I ran into that. Here's another jewel for anybody who's looking to publish a book. There are certain people that are auditory or visual learners. So again, I keep shouting out my man's Cash. He loves audiobooks. So every time I come with a book, he'll buy the book and he'll read it, and he'll be like, yo, you got the audiobook coming.
Right.
So my first book and my other books, I learned you want to have 3 different avenues. So you want a paperback, hardback. For people like myself, they got to have the book bound, everything, the smell of it, read it. You got people who are more tactile. They like to, be on the device. Yeah. That's the digital. That's the ebook. Then you got people who are auditory learners. They want the audiobook. So every book that I've come out with, I have paperback, I have ebook, and audiobook. So right now, I know another guy, his name's Sneaks, he's an engineer here in town. I do my audiobooks through him.
Come on.
So next week I'm doing The Back Court. So it's smart to have all 3 avenues, because you got truck drivers. It's like podcasts. Right. Truck drivers be living off of podcasts because they on the road for a long time. So you got a lot of people who are truck drivers or people who like to go for runs and they like to listen to stuff. They like to listen to books. Yeah. And it's another way to learn without really reading. You're listening, but you're reading. So if you're an aspiring author, publish, just remember, find an engineer, have an audiobook, put your book out on ebook and paperback, hardback cover, because that broadens the horizon as far as making more money.
It's amazing.
Because you catch everybody with that.
Sure. We're going to wrap up this interview, man. Thank you so much for all the knowledge, all the gems. Like, keep doing what you're doing. Don't stop.
I'm going to keep pushing likewise.
Sure.
Keep doing your thing. You inspire me.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to give you your flowers, though, man. You didn't put out 5 books, bro.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Your own publishing company, bestseller.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You in Barnes and Noble.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. I'm going to keep it pushing, too. It's going to keep going. Yeah.
Facts.
I ain't stopping no time soon. This is, I'm doing this for life. Yeah.
Love it. So what you have coming up next?
So what I got next, I'm going to keep rolling with the entrepreneurship one-on-one for my Teach One Publishing, but also my primary book that's out right now that was released in January, The Back Court. I'm working on a soundtrack with my brother Cash Lansky. He will be doing, he'll be rapping and I'll be doing like spoken word on it, and we're doing the project. It's going to be produced by a guy who is a maestro, a genius, musical genius. His name's Mike TV. So we'll have the soundtrack for that, but coupled with the soundtrack, we're doing a documentary about the book, and there will be the likes of former, current, standout basketball players, high school, college, professional, from Tucson, Arizona, all over, the West Coast, Southwest. And that documentary will be entered into a lot of local film festivals, and we're looking to get support for that to see it on the screens of Netflix at some point, The Back Court.
So what's that documentary going to be about mainly?
The documentary will be about the story that's in the book. So you have, just like I said with the audiobook, the ebook, and the paperback, that's what I'm looking to do with 3 different renditions of the book. So you have the story in the book, you have the story in film version of a documentary, and then you have the story in the version of song through the soundtrack.
So anything else that you need promoted?
Mainly The Back Court and Entrepreneurship 101. Those are my 2 projects right now that I'm going full-fledged with. So any way to spread that information across the country, the world, they're going to hear about it eventually. But anybody who wants me to, in the meantime, to spread the word, yeah, those two right there, you're going to hear about them.
So why should someone buy your books?
They should buy my book because you can delve into what I call the tapestry of the human experience. Any emotion, any thought, especially from the standpoint of the Black experience, if you want to learn it, if you're akin to it, if you're a part of it. I'm always educating and giving lessons. That's why I named my company Teach One. I'm going to teach 1, 2, 3, everybody that I can. And learn in the process too, because the teacher is always also the student.